I have come to the conclusion that the best kind of book for me to listen on audio while I'm working or doing other tasks are thrillers. I always enjoy listening to thrillers even if they are not amazing. The plots are relatively easy to follow so I don't get lost, and they move quickly so they don't give my mind time to wander away from the story. So this past month I went browsing my local library's selection of thrillers and I chose the 3 that were the most popular, and today I will review them for you. This is Michelle's Melancholia, where we read books to fear and shed a tear, and today I'm going to tell you if these thrillers are worth the hype. Before we start, I need to make 2 disclaimers. The first one is that these were the most popular thrillers here in the UK, so they might be different in the US. And I mention this because from this list, 2 of the books are written by a UK author and 1 by an Irish author. And the second disclaimer is that I went into the thriller section of the catalogue, but I do believe that one of these books was miscategorized. I don't think it's a thriller. I think they just categorize as thriller any book that involves a crime or a mysterious death. But if you have any problems with that, you'll have to take it up with the Edinburgh Council. The first book we are talking about is How to Kill Your Family by Bella Mackie. And I have seen this in every single bookshop's best-selling shelf. So I assumed it would be good, and I was wrong. But first things first, this is about a young woman. Her name is Grace, and she grew up with a single mother because her father, who is a very rich and influential man, wanted nothing to do with her after getting the mom pregnant. And then when Grace is a teenager, her mom dies, and Grace feels like this is her dad's fault because he abandoned them, and now she's out for revenge. So she decides to kill him, but not only him, but also every single member of his family. And she does. She goes ahead and kills 6 people. This is just the setup of the story, right? When we start reading, she tells us all of these. And she also tells us that she is currently in jail for a murder that she did not commit. I usually love books with morally grey characters that do really bad things for what they truly believe is a good reason or a good cause. I don't usually empathize with them, but I see their point. However, I think that for this to work in a story, one of 2 things needs to happen. One option is that you empathize with the characters, so you know what they're doing is wrong, but you are still rooting for them because it's just so cathartic. I see this a lot in stories featuring female rage, or what many people call them good for her stories. Or the other option is that the character is so horrible that you actually just hate them and enjoy hating them while you're reading. So, for example, Jo from You by Caroline Kepnes. And this one I would say is really hard to pull off because it requires a high level of self-awareness so that the author makes it clear that this is an awful person. And the problem I had with this book is that Grace was neither of those things. I honestly could not empathize with her because although what she went through is bad, I just don't think she was right. Most of these people did not wrong her at all. She just hates them because they're rich and she grew up poor. And listen, I agree, rich people suck, but instead of offering insightful reflections on the class system and economic equality, she just came across as petty and judgmental. It also gave me the impression that the author was trying to turn her into some kind of feminist icon, but rather than giving a girl boss, she was just giving internalized misogyny. She also was not evil enough for me to actively hate her. I was just bored most of the time. There were other flaws in the way the story was structured and written, but I think we've had enough negativity for today, and Grace as a character was my main issue with the book. So we'll just leave it here. I saw Goodreads reviews saying that a similar book that was executed much better is My Sister the Serial Killer, so maybe I will try that one instead. The next book is 56 Days by Catherine Ryan Howard. This one is set in Dublin and it is about a man and a woman who have just started dating when the COVID-19 lockdown is announced. So instead of just not seeing each other anymore, they decide to move in together. Yes, after only like 2 weeks of knowing each other. And one of them ends up dead. This was a very okay mystery thriller, and I find that these middle-of-the-road books are really hard to review because I feel like I don't have much to say about them. So to break it down, let's just start with the positives. I liked that in this one we get multiple perspectives and also multiple timelines, but I don't think it was confusing. And I actually think that it helped me maintain my engagement because, you know, things were changing all the time. We hear the story from the point of view of the man, from the point of view of the woman, and then also in the future from the detective who is investigating the death. We do get the same part of the story told from the man's point of view and the woman's point of view, so we get told about it twice, and some people may find this repetitive, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was okay. I also thought that it had good twists and turns, it kept me guessing, and I was pretty satisfied with how things got wrapped up in the end. So basically it met all the requirements that for me make a solid thriller. Now the negatives are a bit hard to explain without giving any spoilers, but I will try. I guess I would say that I didn't think that the relationship between the two main characters was very well developed, and obviously this was crucial because they tell the whole story. For most of the book, I couldn't get past the fact that I didn't understand why they would move in together. It was just not believable, to be honest. And while this ends up making more sense once you reach the ending, I thought it was an inbuilt flaw of the story that the author had to withhold so much information from us to make the mystery work that I never truly felt that I really understood the characters. I guess I prefer mysteries where I think I understand what's going on, only to then have the rug pulled off from under my feet, whereas in this case the author didn't even lay down the rug at all. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's the only way I could explain it. And finally, we have The Maid by Nita Prose, and I have a confession to make. I was really excited to read this one because I have heard nothing but bad things about it. And I just got too curious. And yes, I know it won the Goodreads Choice Award, but everyone I've personally talked to about it said they really disliked it. And listen, I'm not saying this was spectacular, but I expected much worse, to be honest. I kind of liked it. In this book, we follow a maid in an upscale hotel who finds a very rich guest dead in his room. Now, this maid is described as quirky, and she does not understand social cues, and she loves routines and cleaning very meticulously. And yet, the author refuses to explicitly describe her as neurodivergent or say that she has autism, both in the book and in interviews, which is a choice that confuses me because she did feel comfortable enough throwing every single stereotype in there. However, I think she set out to write a character that the reader would love, and I did really like her and was rooting for her, so maybe it wasn't all that bad, I'm not sure. I am obviously not the best person to discuss how good or bad the representation was in this book. Anyway, through her interactions with the rest of the hotel personnel, we begin to find out secrets that may have led to this mysterious death. And although I said that I liked the main character, I also think that she was poorly written, not only because of the stereotypes, but I think her characterization was extremely inconsistent. The whole plot of the book relies on her having all these quirky characteristics. However, they only seem to exist when it is convenient or when it is funny. But then when the story needs to move forward, she just goes and does things that are completely out of character because it's the only way the story can progress. So that just kept pulling me out of the story. Because given everything you've told me about this character, I just couldn't believe that she would act in that way. But honestly, for most of the book, I was pretty entertained. I do think it was about 50 to 80 pages too long. A lot of things happened towards the end that didn't contribute anything to the story. Or maybe it's just that my expectations were so low that I was pleasantly surprised when this wasn't as horrible as I thought it would be. And we're done. That is all for today. Sorry if this video was too negative. I think that all of these authors have sold thousands of copies of these books, and my honest opinion is not going to hurt them in any way. If you have read any of them, do let me know what you thought about them. Do you agree with me or not? And do recommend me some more thrillers that I can listen to. I've been having a lot of fun with them, as I said, even if they are kind of bad. And I will see you in my next video, hopefully very soon. Goodbye!